Hey everyone, it's Kai from WCC, and today we're going to look at one of the best clans coming out of Infinideity Cradle, and probably one of the best Protect clans now, because being the best Protect clan, that title always changes with every new set coming out, and that is Nubatama. Now, Nubatama got some great buffs, turning this clan from a very mediocre clan in Standard to a pretty top tier clan, able to contest very well with everything in the game. So let's just jump right into it. We'll do it a bit differently. People have said they wanted to see some of the card effects, so we'll zoom in right now and let's look at the cards a bit better. So first off, let's talk about the grade 3 lineup. So here we see we've got our boys Jam Your Congo and the new card Hanzo. Now, when Jam Your Congo was released, basically it felt like half a card. It was kind of easy to play around. Although the effect looked amazing, and it was amazing in premium, in standard it was like 6 cards and 4 cards. Why don't I just dump my hand and just rush Nubatama? There's nothing they can do. So yeah, that's that. And then Nubatama just couldn't do anything, and they died pretty quickly. However, Hanzo totally changed that. That is the other half of the puzzle that we needed. Hanzo punishes your opponent for playing a field. And can we read the card? Yeah, so you just have to retire 2 grade 0 regards and it gets 20k, and then you can choose any number of regards and return them to the hand. And if your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, your opponent then has to discard cards equal to the number of cards that they return with the effect. So basically, this does everything you want in a nutshell. If your opponent has decided to rush you because they're afraid of Jammu, you punish them by bouncing their field. You return your own cards as well, because your cards have common play effects that are very good and can kind of generate more resources for you. And then you will get a big buff to your Vanguard, so you will never need to boost your Vanguard at all. And your opponent then has to discard cards. So they will always have the same amount of cards in their hand, but then they've also lost their entire field. So it's like a pseudo field wipe. So either they don't play anything on the field, they keep everything in hand, and they're afraid of Hanzo, and then you just punish them with Jam Your Congo, or they play it out to try and push you, and then you just punish them with Hanzo, and then next turn you just kill them or something like that, right? So ideally, if you have both of these in your hand, it's all good. You have the options to go into one or the other depending on what your opponent has done, and then if you ride a Jammu first and they commit, then you just absolutely destroy them with Hanzo. And the Hanzo's effect of bouncing the whole field, of bouncing your cards, is really strong. Just because your come into play effects generate resources that are really good, that really keep your engine going and can put pressure on your opponent. And the grade 0 cost is pretty insignificant, because we're going to see later that you have quite a decent number of cards that generate these new evil decoy tokens that are grade 0s, that do help you intercept. So that's that for the grade 3, the main hitter, Hanzo. And then we have more grade 3s on. Don't forget, we're actually a Protect clan. We're running the new Fuzen Congo, 1 copy only. And we're running our 3 of the good old friend Kokshi Garasu. Now, this is kind of a pick that you have to choose when you start playing Nubatama. Do I want to commit more to a Fuzen Congo? I know I've seen a lot of builds who run 4 of this card or 3 of this card, and it's a pretty good card. Let's read it. So when it attacks, if your damage zone is 5 cards, you can Soul Blast 1 grade 3 and then bind any number of cards from your drop zone, and until the end of turn this gets 5k for each card in your bind zone, and your opponent cannot call Sentinels from his or her hand. So basically, it's like this final YOLO trump card. You go to 5, you play this, you bind your entire drop zone, and then you get super fat, and your opponent just can't guard it all, and then just dead. It doesn't get a crit, unfortunately, so your opponent has to be on 5, or they have to be in a range where they've run out of hand, and you can just push this, and this is your last attack to kind of just force through that last damage. The one good thing about this card is it has a Protect, so when you ride it, and you didn't draw your 8 other ride targets, you at least get a Protect marker. Also, you can kind of just ride this as your last ditch attack and hopefully you trigger a crit. But I found that this card absolutely trolls you a lot. You randomly trigger a heal, and then this card becomes a joke, because you need that 5 damage zone in your damage zone. And yeah, so I've had that happen to me one too many times, where my final turn is absolutely just wrecked because I triggered a heal. You can also not, or you can attack with this first and not do your drive checks, but then your opponent absolutely has to be on 5. So that's kind of unfavorable in my opinion. I still like Kokushigarasu because no matter how much damage your opponent is at the currently, your Kokushigarasu will just wipe their hand. Your Hanzo allows you to pick cards, so it's not always you bounce their entire field. You bounce everything except one, and then you play Kokushigarasu and bounce that last card and make them discard 5. So even if they're at 1 damage, if they have 0 cards in hand, there is not much that they can do. This is like very little pressure. So you can just kill them over 2 turns. What are they going to do? They're going to draw a card, probably play it or keep it in the hand, and just swing with a Vanguard. They might use the Vanguard effect if it's any good. But apart from that, there is not much they're doing. And then the second turn, you're just bashing them again. And then the next turn after that, they've now got 4 cards in hand from 1 draw. And then they might be able to do something. But you've basically gotten a free turn from just discarding everything in their hand. So I think Kokushigarasu is the way to go. Although you do use a bit of soul, there is quite a few ways to still generate soul. So just keep soul in mind. You're a protect clan. You want to go protect 1 most of the time. And yeah, it's pretty decent. So basically, that's the entire grade 3 lineup. You have a bunch of... You have 8 new cards from Jammu Congo. You got your Fuzen Congo, that is kind of your pseudo finisher. It's okay. It's okay. It's not bad. I wouldn't talk anything bad about that. And you got a new busted card, Hanzo. That is your boy. That is the card that basically solves Nubatama for us. So we're gonna move on to the grade 2s. Grade 2s, we have a new card. It is called Akurayo. Now, what this card does, this is kind of a filler slot. You can play a Magatsu Gale instead, the grade 2 Magatsu. But this is pretty nice in that when you come into play, you can retire 2 of your grade 0, 2 grade 0 regards. And again, let me just say, retiring 2 grade 0 regards is not hard at all. You draw a card. So if you generated those grade 0s for free, you basically this is basically replaced itself. It's like a floater, right? And until the end of turn, this unit can attack the Vanguard from the back row, and it gets 15k. So remember how Hanzo generates? Well, it makes 32k by itself, and it bounces your entire field. So you clean out your Regard slot, it gets fat. You can put this behind the Regard, and then just attack from that nice back slot, which you don't really need. You don't need to boost Hanzo anymore because he's 32k. And then next turn, you can kind of do the same thing. You can bounce this back, and then maybe call it again, and then just have another. You get like 4 attacks a turn. That's pretty decent coming from a Protect line. However, this is the filler slot. If you like your old Magatsu grade 2, then you can run that instead. It is a great card. We're not running that in this build though, because there are just other great grade 2s that we want to run. Like, for example, this new card, Zangetsu. Now, this is one of your grade 0 token generators. He generates evil decoy tokens. You just have to counterblast 1 and call an evil decoy token to your Regard. And until the end of turn, all your tokens gain boost, and they get 5k. So, just a word of warning, your evil decoy tokens have 0 power, and they don't have boost. They have intercept, but they can intercept from the back row. So, when you play your Zangetsu, now they can all do something. They can boost your cards, but keep in mind, this is not a once per turn effect. So, you can just spam this 4 times and generate an entire field full of evil decoy tokens that are hitting decent amounts of power. So this is a great card. It basically uses up all your counterblast. You don't use counterblast a lot in this deck at all. This is probably one of the primary ways to use your counterblast. Otherwise, not much counterblast is happening. It also has another effect. So when it gets attacked, you may change the attack target to one of your tokens. And then if you do, you return this to your hand. So it's a nice secondary effect. Once you play it on the field, you can kind of just expect it not to die unless you're playing against a retired clan. If your opponent decides to attack that, then you will always get it back in your hand. So absolutely amazing card. And then the last card we're running is our good old friend, Tsunomasa. Now, this card generates your soul. We played it a lot before in old Nubatama builds, just to build soul for Kokushigarasu. Does the same thing now. So yeah, that's pretty much it. It's there just to generate soul for our big plays. Because going into our grade 1s, we're going to see some new really good cards that will use a lot of soul. Let's bring them out now. It's this card. It is Kurogiri. Now, very simple effect. You Soul Blast 2 and turn this to your hand, and then you call 2 evil decoy tokens to the field. Very simple. It just generates a full field for you, and then you play this, then you just use hard. Similar thing, getting those free grade 0s that you can just use them for resources. We have, and then you can use this first, and then use your Zangetsu to give them power. nice small little combos there, not too crazy. Now, another big winner coming into this set is Sakura Fubuki. Now, one thing with Sakura Fubuki is that you can just use your entire counterblast with Zangetsu, go to empty counterblast, and then just play Sakura Fubuki and just get one back, draw a card, kind of filter through your hand a bit, and just get that 3k power. Very nice, but then you can bounce that back, you can then play it again, and then you just use another, like, counter charge again, and keep on, as long as you use Hanzo every turn, you can keep on getting multiple uses of Sakura Fubukis that you get, and kind of going through your entire deck, filtering to the cards that you need. Very, very amazing card now. So, before it was good, for sure, but now it is even better. And then the last grade 1 slot, I'm using this for filler more. This is Aogita. Oh, let's move this in a bit. So this is a filler slot. You can run anything else you like instead. But what this does is that when it attacks or boosts, if your opponent has 2 or less regards, which is it's very easy. Or no, 1 or less regards, sorry. You can put a grade 2 or less card from your drop zone into your soul. So this just basically generates soul for you as well. It's like, you need soul, but it's not too important. So if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. This is a filler slot. You can replace this with any other card that you want. I think there's one that makes one of your attacks can't be guarded with Sentinel, so that's okay. But yeah, so pick anything you want. We're only running 10 grade 1, so a bit on the light side, but that's fine. That's fine. As long as you're just basically wanting to just ride your grade 1 and you're done. And then lastly, we are going to go into our trigger lineup. We have 4 heals, very standard. And the unstandard part of this deck is we're running 7 draws. All right, 7 draws and 5 crits. Now, I've seen a lot of different trigger lineups. How am I going to do this? Yeah, okay, let's just do it like this. 7 draws, 5 crits. Okay, this is going to be a mess, but you basically get the idea. So trigger lineups for this deck is okay. It is you either run 8 draws, which is very, very okay, and 4 crits, or you run 6 crits and 6 draws. That is fine too. Anywhere in that range is fine. The reason for this is that you are a Protect clan. You do get free perfect guards. That is what you are relying on to guard with, or you're just going to use those perfect guards to use for Kokushigarasu, which kind of does the same thing. It just lowers pressure on you, so that's fine. You want the draws because you can also use your draws. They're a very low investment card to use for Hanzo's effect. If you just get that terrible situation where you have just none of your generators, you can still use Hanzo's effect by just using draw triggers. Now, other things also is that draws are nice to discard for Sakura Fubuki, just because they're very low investment cards. You're not discarding a crit trigger, which you probably want to keep just because it has that extra guard associated with it. And yeah, so draws are very, very nice. And they'll help you get you to all the pieces that you want to just close out the game. Crits, not as important, because again, if your opponent has no cards in their hand, there is nothing they can do. You can just kill them over 2 turns. But personally, I did play 8 draws. I did kind of want to just add in 1 more crit because I'll have a situation where it's just people will kind of know that you're either on this 4-8 or 6-6. So you just throw in 1 more crit and it's fine. And just having that high draw count is still good. You do have this one weakness where you will fight against guard restrict, and then all your 5Ks in your hand suddenly become very, very bad to guard with. But when you think about it, the only big danger right now is Danger Lunge, and Mega Cloning has their Antline combo. So both those you just have to be careful of. I think a lot of English Western decks for Shadow Paladin do still focus on Blaster Darks, so you can just kind of hope there. But just discard the hand and just hopefully don't worry too much about it, or just keep your high guard counts in your hand for those cards. And then, well, there's also Blade Master, and Kaguya. So there's that too. But basically, the Antline and the Danger Lunge, you can probably even go Protect 2 in that situation. It's really up to you. But basically, focusing on a great high draw count is fine in this deck, just to get your pieces. If you're a bit afraid, go 6 draw, 6 crits, so you have those extra 2 crits to kind of pad that situation, pad your guard with, and that's fine. And we've got our final starter, so that's pretty irrelevant. So that's basically the deck. It is really strong. I have to say, it is really strong. I really enjoy playing this deck right now. Way more than before. Before it was you were just banking on trying to do your YOLO combo of Kokshigarasa ASAPly, and then when Jamyo got released, it was kind of a mixed bag in that it's like everything else got buffed and you didn't. So you're still playing the same deck, but just not feeling great. But now, since we've got Hanzo, the table's basically flipped. Definitely a scary deck. One of the best decks to come out of Infinideity Cradle. Very competitive, I think, against the entire, like most of the metagame. Your only big problem will be something like Tachikaze, because it's a bit hard to get rid of their their sweeper Akacanters and stuff like that, but you do have Kokshigarasa with this build, so it's not as bad. You also have Protect, so that's nice too. But you have less defensive cards, so you have less grade ones. You have less. You have less. Your triggers have less guard. You're relying on your tokens, your evil decoy tokens, to generate that extra guard that you need, but they get wiped by Tachikaze's effect. So that sometimes feels bad. And then against Murokuma, it's kind of like a 50-50, I guess. They wipe your field, but as long as you have the protects to pump through and like protect from the big cards and take the damage that you can take, and then just wipe their hand, it is a manageable game. And then what was the last really strong deck in the field? Pale Moon. You actually have a pretty decent matchup against Pale Moon. No matter what they do, they're screwed. If they leave a field, they're screwed. If they use their Dorian's effect to draw a bunch of cards, they just go back down to 4 anyway because you have Jamyo. So it is kind of a decent matchup for you, in my opinion. So against some of the top decks in the meta for Standard, pretty good. So hopefully you guys all get into the Nubatama hype. Standard is pretty much ninja dominated at the moment, with weird circus clowns and mechanical dinosaurs and machine guns. So pretty interesting format. So yeah, best deck from Infinideity Cradle, and hope you guys are more will check in for other great decks like Angel Feather, which got absolutely great support and is probably the best decks in Standard soon. So if you guys want to see this deck, want to buy it and support us, go to TCG Player. They are our new sponsors, and we can I think we're going to put a deck link in the description. So yeah, check that out, check the description, and see you guys in the next video. Bye!